Let's talk about vaping. The latest manufactured threat to all things good and decent in our Christian society. Oh, God help us all. Oh, vaping is going to wipe us out. It's going to do what it did to the dinosaurs, you know. Wasn't that meteor? It was vaping. Yeah, that's right. Well, what about vaping? How would you deal with this in your particular family situation if your kids were vaping? Is it really that big a deal? Come on. Just another manufactured crisis for everybody to get worked up about. You gotta love it. 663-1270. 663-1270. Jim Walsh here for Super Talk 1270. Streaming online any old time at supertalk1270.com. If you've been watching the news, you've probably seen a lot of stories coming out of the woodwork over the last week or so about the great threat of vaping, about people getting sick from vaping, people dying from vaping. Right here in North Dakota, we had such a story about a week ago about somebody who was diagnosed as being really sick because they were smoking the old, not the regular wacky tobacco or the regular tobacco, but the what do you call it? The water vapor tobacco knockoff thingy there. Now, right here from yesterday's news, a sixth person in the U.S. has died of a severe lung illness related to vaping. That happened in Kansas. We had a story here. We had stories from other places like Missouri. Oh, did you see what they did in Missouri? They're actually trying to ban vaping in Missouri, ban the sale of the e-cigarettes, the flavored cigarettes. And now, of course, the President of the United States, a man I personally trust as far as I could throw, he's trying to make it into a big deal. Well, let's talk about this here and whether it's really that big a deal, because I don't think it is. The big danger to public health here is taking it away, which means a lot more people would be going back to regular cigarettes, regular smoking, which is far worse than vaping. It's far greater a threat. Obviously, in an ideal world, you don't want kids smoking anything at all. But you know what? If they're going to smoke, and they will sometimes, if they're going to do it, which would you rather have them do? You can't say, well, I don't want them smoking. That's not a realistic option here. I mean, you can encourage them not to, do your best to get them to not do it. But realistically, in the world we live in, simply saying, well, they shouldn't smoke at all, is that realistic? No, it's not. So how would you deal with it in your own family situation? That's the question here. And the number is 663-1270. Something you have to understand about the vaping stories that have been coming out of the woodwork here. New study just came out among patients in Illinois and Wisconsin. Among the people in these states with respiratory diseases related to vaping, the overwhelming majority, 83%, admitted that the vaping the vaping cigarettes they were using were black market. They were linked to the illegal THC products. According to this new report, patients who experienced severe respiratory illnesses after vaping, 83%, 17% said they had used nicotine only, and of course it's extremely likely that some of them may have been reluctant to admit using illegal drugs. And it's not clear that any of them were using standard e-cigarettes. So the question is, how would you deal with it with your own family situation? Is it really that big a deal if a kid goes through a vaping phase? Bear in mind, there's no evidence whatsoever that vaping is a gateway to regular cigarettes. None whatsoever. The fact is, over the last 20 years or so, cigarette smoking among youth, our nation's youth, has actually gone down, including among the kids who started out vaping. there is statistically at least absolutely no evidence that vaping leads to regular smoking. If anything, it's the other way around. A lot of people, young and old, are switching to vaping as an alternative to the regular smoking thing, and it's helping them get off the tobacco habit. Now, isn't that a good thing? Oh, no, we got to have zero tolerance. Don't get me on that kick. Yeah, I don't want to get all, every time something like this, story like this comes out, people start drawing the Nazi parallels. But yeah, it is kind of a fascist thing when you think about it, this idea that we're not going to allow you to do things that are bad for you. We're going to save you from yourself. Did Hitler ever say that? He probably did. But the point is, they're not really helping anybody here with this manufactured holy war on vaping. So have you had this situation in your family? And you tell me on your own level how you dealt with it. Because that's what's really important here. Is how you, is not what the government does or what the president does or what Nancy Pelosi does or anybody else. It's what you do in your own family, in your own environment, how you handle this kind of situation. That's the really important thing here. So the president wants to ban e-cigarette flavors. And, I've never gotten the e-cigarette thing. Vaping first came into fashion when I was living in the lower Midwest in Indiana. You go into these clubs with my girlfriend at the time, and the whole club would smell this sickeningly sweet aroma of, no, not pot, but water vapor with this goopy candy-like flavoring that it has. I don't get the appeal. But the point is, it does apparently help some people quit smoking. And in any event, if they're going to smoke anything, wouldn't you rather at least they smoke this as opposed to regular tobacco, which we know is harmful, which we know does cut. Now, the vaping thing, the jury's still out as far as the vaping thing is concerned as to how harmful it really is. And all these stories coming out of the woodwork that are supposed to scare us straight, you got to remember, again, it's all about linking it to the illegal, the black market products. And how do you deal with the black market products? Well, you give them a legal alternative. That's the thing you got to do. Your comments, well, I'd love to hear what you think about this. Number here is 663-1270, 663-1270. Oh, a nice, cool, rainy day. Can we get a little rainy day music? Hello? I had some rainy day music all lined up here. Well, let's go with Life During Wartime, since we're... Oh, I see what I did. We got this new electronical computer system here we're still getting used to. And, oh, there we go. Okay. It doesn't take me long. Yeah, it took me years to learn how to drive a car. I'm just not mechanically inclined. We're talking about vaping, how you deal with it on your own family level. 663-1270. Love to hear from you here at Super Talk 1270, supertalk1270.com. Be right back.
Right now, it's 52.
The home for ABC News at the top of the hour is Super Talk 1270.
Oh, me brothers, me droogies, me devuchkas. We're just having a horror show old time here. A little Clockwork Orange movie music for you here as we get back into the, leap back into the fray here, talking about vaping. The great manufactured threat to all things good and decent in our beloved society. I mean, you've been hearing all about vaping. Have you noticed in the last week all these vaping stories are coming out? Do you think for 1 minute that's a coinkydink? No, it's, the government, the bureaucracy, they decide, it's time for a new holy war. We got to justify our gigs, people paying taxes, pay our salaries. We got to give them a reason to think we got to save them from something. We got to manufacture another crisis. So here we go. And the press, of course, being the press, it's not that they're liberal or whatever, is that the mainstream media And by the way, I include talk radio in the mainstream media. Talk radio is mainstream media, whether they care to admit it or not. But the point is, it's not that they're liberal or conservative. It's that they're lazy. The government hands them these pre-prepared list of talking points, and they just kind of roll with it. I think every news station in the country does it. Basically, they hand them this and they go, it's like these celebrity stories, which basically come from the celebrities themselves. They hand them the press releases. Julia Roberts picked her nose, and everybody's calling it a great feminist statement. Well, they got that from the management, the promotion people. They sent it to them, and they rolled with it. Well, that's kind of what they're doing now with this manufactured e-cigarette crisis, the vaping crisis. But if the best way to deal with this, I think, is to keep it legal, keep it above board, and talk about it with your own family. Work it out that way. I really think that's the way to do it. Yes, I really. What was that? I think I was a little parrot off in the corner somewhere. So how would you deal with it? Number here is 663-1270. And, of course, your comments are welcome on the social media site on Facebook, Supertalk 1270 Facebook page. So this new study that comes out, which you're not hearing that much about, because, it kind of flies in the face of everything that the scaremongers want to tell you. New study reported Friday in the New England Journal of Medicine. Up there in New England where they all talk like Kennedys with vigor. They eat chowder. And they go watch, they watch the Sox and the Big Green Monster at Fenway Park. And they park the car near the water. Unless you're Ted Kennedy, and then you park the car. Moving on. New study focused on patients who had vaped within 90 days of their symptoms. People who supposedly got sick, and they made a connection between the sickness and the vaping. The median age was 19. A third were younger than 18. And among the patients who were extensively interviewed, 80% reported using THC products. In other words, they were using the black market version that has the stuff in there that they put in marijuana, or it's actually naturally found in marijuana to get you higher than a kite can fly. So basically the answer here, again, is to go the legal route. Make it legal. And yes, of course, you regulate it. There's a legitimate case here for regulating the product for health reasons, among other things. And you make it available to the people of whatever age who want it. That's how you deal with this crisis. Again, the stuff that's causing all the serious heavy-duty health problems so far that we've seen, it's basically the illegal stuff, the black market products. Now, continuing here, it's not clear whether any of the products in the THC-only cases were devices such as Juul, the thing that you buy that you use to smoke this stuff, as opposed to refillable vaporizers. And nor is it clear whether the cartridges or the e-liquids used in the device were legally produced. Again, the main point here is that they were doing the THC stuff, the black market, semi-legal or out-and-out illegal product. That has been the big connection with the people, the folks who are having the serious health issues. Now, maybe something could come out in the future, but for now, that's where it stands. But of course, our government, being what it is, and having the agenda that it has, which is basically for everybody to keep their jobs, keep drawing them government paychecks. Well, you never let the truth get in the way of a good story now, do you? Or a good gig, and they've got one going. And they're going to make sure they keep it going by scaring the bejesus out of you. So let's not have any more of this ban on e-cigarettes. A flavored e-cigarette. Again, I don't get it. I personally don't get the appeal, but you know what? If a kid is going to smoke that instead of smoking a cigarette, you know what? I say that's a good thing. Well, that's really be better if they didn't smoke it. Oh, yeah, it would be better if they didn't smoke at all. Is that realistic? No. Some kids are going to smoke, so they're going to smoke something. And they're going to smoke, if you have a choice between smoking regular cigarettes and these e-cigarettes, an admittedly less than ideal choice here, still. You've got a situation where you've got the one which we definitely know is a serious threat to your health, and the other one where maybe it's kind of a threat to the health. The jury's still kind of out on everything, but the point is, which you going to go with? I'm going to go with the one that is less potentially threatening to the kid's health. Number here, again, we're talking about how you deal with the vaping thing on your own family level. 663-1270. Would love very much to get your comment on this. Yes, I am actually saying we should not make e-cigarettes illegal for children under 18. I did say that. Keep it legal, because it's when they go to the illegal black market stuff, which they will do if they can't get it legally, it's when they do that they get in trouble, that they seem to be having all these major problems with health in the heart and the respiratory system. 663-1270. Hey, you think I'm full of beans? Well, put that in your pipe and smoke it, and do call me. One thing you'll notice, by the way, we do make a conscientious effort on this show to be civil. Civil with each other. We can agree to disagree. We're kind of bucking the trend on Trump's America by not, we don't go for the whole name calling. And by the way, there are two types of people who are never welcome on this program: drunks and bigots. I will lay that out. If you're not a drunk or an out-and-out bigot, then I'd like to hear what you have to say. Please call me and tell me how you would handle the cigarette. I've been in clubs where kids smoke this stuff, and by kids I mean teenagers and maybe college students. I've been in some of these clubs and I smell the stuff, and it just, to me, it's like this sickeningly sweet. Ugh. It's basically steam. It smells like it's got a big ton of sugar in it somehow. Sugary candy stuff. Like, have you ever been in a candy store? I remember years ago when I lived in New Jersey, a town called Hackettstown, New Jersey. I was working there on radio. Hackettstown, New Jersey is directly downwind of one of the big plants where they manufacture M&M candies. And there was always this sickeningly sweet smell in the air. Not the sweet smell of success, although I'm sure the Mars Company would say it was. But the point is, that's kind of what it smells like when you go into these clubs. But still in all, if you're going to smoke anything, you're better off smoking something like that. You're better off vaping than you are smoking regular cigarettes. You know. So the alternative, admittedly two regrettable options. One where they're smoking a pack of Marlboros every day, one or two, or other where they're occasionally puffing on the e-cigarettes with the yucky candy flavoring. Which, by the way, one thing about sugary sweet flavors and candy flavors, you outgrow them. You get older, you lose interest. And again, there's no evidence that the young people who are vaping, there's no evidence that they're actually using it as a gateway to regular smoking or anything else. If anything, they do it for a while, and then they just stop. They outgrow it. There is evidence, on the other hand, that a lot of people who are smoking, they switch to vaping as a way of kind of weaning themselves off of smoking, or at least it's a healthier, a less unhealthy alternative. So what does the government want to do in their infinite wisdom? They want to take that all away and make it illegal. Because it's scary. It's evil. and our great glorious government have to come riding to the rescue and save you from yourself, right? Those crazy kids with their panini sandwiches and their cafe racer motorcycles hanging out of the old coffee shop on a rainy day in Belgium. I think it rains a lot. I'm guessing it rains a lot in Belgium. Every time I hear about Belgium, I was in Belgium. What was it like? Oh, it rained. Oh, okay, fine. And smoking their e-cigarettes. We're talking about the vaping threat here and how you deal with it with your family. Number here is 663-1270. Your comments welcomed and appreciated always here on this same here program. By the way, Super Talk 1270, supertalk1270.com. I want to thank the guys from Dakota Housing for letting me sit in today and do my little thing while Joe and Doug and who's Doug? Joe and Dave and Greg, Mr. Larson, they're all doing other things. I'll be back next week to talk about what's happening in the wild, woolly world of real estate and housing in North by God, Dakota. All right. I want to talk about getting bald. No, I'm not saying that vaping leads to balding, although that'd be interesting. I wouldn't put it past them. I want to get to this in a few minutes here, talk about my own balding situation. There are one or two more points I want to make regarding the e-cigarette thing. There's a story, in fact, it was on the Supertalk 1270 website. It's on there now if you want to read it, talking about how vaping has been in the news a lot lately, both locally and nationally, and the news is not good. The Centers for Disease Control has reported about 450 possible cases of severe respiratory disease, potentially. Of course, again, what they don't tell you is that those cases are apparently overwhelmingly linked to people smoking the illegal black market THC version of the stuff. Well, if that's the case, the answer again is to put more focus on the legal stuff, make it available to the people who want it. In other words, do everything the exact opposite of what the government is trying to do right now. This another classic case of another manufactured crisis brought to you by the people who brought you Watergate and Prohibition and the Vietnam War and our ever-popular war on drugs. Or as those of us who remember the 80s like to call it, Nancy Reagan's pointless little junior league project. Right. Well, there you go again. Anyway, so I've been talking about vaping, and the question is how you handle it on your own level, because I really think it's got to be a family thing. If you're concerned about your kids vaping, and you probably shouldn't be too concerned about it, but the thing is, the best way to deal with this is out in the open. Talk to your kids about it. If they do it, don't wig out, don't freak out, don't fly off, go flying off the handle big time, but talk to the kids and say, look, I'd rather you not do this, but if you're going to do it, at least stay away from the cigarettes. If you got to do something, do this. It's a realist. I think it's a very realistic way of looking at it. Number here is 663-1270. Yeah, but thetruth.org. You seen those commercials for thetruth.org? Now they're on the vaping kick, right? Talking about how bad vaping is. Some people say that vaping is not as unhealthy as smoking. Yeah, well, those people are right, by the way. Yeah, but those people they're right. Yeah, but they shouldn't say that because smoking is icky. Let me tell you about thetruth.org, okay, since we're on the subject. Let me tell you about thetruth.org. I just go nuts when I see one of those stupid ads on TV, thetruth.org, about the truth about smoking. You know what the story is behind those ads? Here's the deal. A few years ago, you might remember, the government struck a deal with the big tobacco companies, R.J. Reynolds, or whatever they call themselves nowadays, I don't know. And they told them, from now on, you guys have to spend X number of dollars every year in promoting an anti-smoking agenda. Now, if you were running a tobacco company and somebody told you to do that, what would you do? I tell you what I would do. I would say, yeah, okay, we'll run these commercials promoting anti-smoking. And then you close the door, and when everybody's gone, you turn to your board of directors and say, here's the deal, guys. We're going to run these commercials like they want us to, but we're just going to make them as ridiculously pointless and heavy-handed and ludicrous as possible. That is why Truth.org is so stupid. That's why those commercials are so stupid and so pointless. It's because Big Tobacco, they got to do this, so that's their way of getting around it. And apparently it's working, because if anyone, well, I'm sure the government knows what they're doing, but again, they don't care, because it's all about them making a big show of being concerned about everybody's health. So let them, make a big show. They want to make a big show of this, they can. We're making a big show of saying that smoking is icky. And that's all it's really about. By the way, did you hear about in Michigan, the governor there going on and on and on about the dangers of candy-flavored cigarette smoke or steam or whatever the hell it is. So they're going to ban it in Michigan? Yeah, that's going to work really, really well. Right? Jeez. Let's move on here from the ridiculous to the, I don't know if you call this ridiculous. It's the balding question. Now, this came up the other day here at the radio station. A bunch of us put together a video promotion. And I'll mention what the video is. You can look at it yourself. It's on the website, supertalk1270.com. It's on the website for a local organization called Tales of the Midwest. They're involved in adopting out doggies and kitties and other pets, and they do a great job. And by the way, I would encourage you, if you're interested in getting a new family member, to get in touch with them. They've got some great critters over there. They do a great job with them. But I noticed after the video, of course, me being me, it's all about me. And the big thing I noticed after I produced the video was how stupid I looked on the video with my comb over. Every once in a while, because we have a dog there. It was a nice doggy named Gibbs, a coonhound, as it turned out. But every time I bent over to give Gibbs a little scritch on the neck or pat his head, you saw the top of my head and you saw this really stupid, cheesy-looking Tony Soprano comb-over thing. The regular light is not so bad, but you get in a really bright light, like in a building somewhere, or on a video, or on TV, whatever. I just look ridiculous. So my question to you now is it time to just go full-on Jean-Luc Picard, Yulbrunner, and just lop the whole thing off? I must admit I'm hesitant to do so, I think for emotional reasons. The whole idea of it being a last vestige of my lost youth that I don't want to let go of. But it's getting to the point now where it's starting to look a little ridiculous. I especially invite you ladies to call in and tell me how you feel about a man holding on to that last vestige of a manhood on top of his noggin. Yeah, they always say a lot of the big sexy stars, the big action stars, a lot of them are bald men now. You look at a lot of these movies, got guys like The Rock and Vin Diesel, and now they got Jean-Luc Picard. They got him doing some new things. And you think about Telly Savalas when remember Telly Savalas? Remember Kojak? Who loves ya, baby? Man, he was as bald as the day is long, and he was a role model for a lot of people. He was considered he was a sex symbol. Can you imagine that? A middle-aged bald guy who was, I think what was sexy about the guy was his authenticity. He embraced his baldness. It's a case of swimming with the tide, but faster. Because if your hair's falling out, you do what he did. You just shave your head. It's your way of saying, hey, this is what I got, and I'm not ashamed to share it with the world. This is what I am. Which seems to be the trend nowadays. Patrick Stewart, the actor, Sir Patrick Stewart, who plays Jean-Luc Picard in the Star Trek. Boy, I am so looking forward to when they do that thing with him, the new show next year on CBS On Demand, and they bring back Discovery. But Discovery is kind of but I'm really looking forward to the Picard thing. And again, the thing has always been about this guy. He's bald and he embraces it. He kind of flaunts it. And as he put, somebody once asked him a question. He said, "Don't you think in the future they'll find a cure for baldness?" And I loved his answer. He said, "Yeah, they probably will. But you know what? I think in the future, people will also get to a stage where they don't care how much hair you have on your head. There are more important things like, the content of your character." There you go. Works for me. So, should I break out the old straight razor and do a Lex Luthor on my noggin? Is it time? You tell me. Got this little wartime thing going on inside my head about this, about the top of my head. 663-1270. Your comments welcomed and appreciated. I want to hear from you baldies, too. You tell me what you think, how it's worked out for you. 663-1270. Jim Walsh here for Super Talk 1270 and supertalk1270.com.
Right now, it's 52.
The home for ABC News at the top of the hour is Super Talk 1270.
Wonder what the girl in the bee costume from that Blind Melon video, wonder what she's doing nowadays. Probably works in some office as an accountant somewhere, crunching numbers. She probably still wears the bee costume, too.